last week, one of the quicker, yes, very rapidly done. You're to be congratulated. Nonetheless, it may very well be, I don't think you're going to run into any opposition here because it's in general compliance with everything. I will just point out, as we did last week, that if some neighbor walks into the VZA or into the NPU next week and said, we didn't see it, we didn't have a chance to go over it, that you've got a chance of having this held, but that may or may not happen. And if you've knocked on your doors and showed it to people, the chances are that it won't. You've done the notification. Are there any other questions or comments for the applicant? Oh, she sent us a copy of the stamped plan. Did you have to bring one with you?
Is it okay if I give you the copy?
Yeah, just let us see the stamped plan. All will be well.
That looks like it, or is that the old one?
Can I give you a copy?
Yeah, a copy would be great. We deal in copies all the time. All right, well, I do thank you for your rapid response to all our questions, which were numerous, given the proposal. Are there any other comments or questions? Anybody want to make a motion? Laurel, what's your motion?
Move to approve P15097 based on plans dated May 7, 2015.
Is there a second? Any last chance at questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All right, we're good. Thank you very much. So we'll see you Monday. Okay, thank you very much. The next winning ticket is 953 Glen Ardon Way, B15098. First of the meeting, but not the first of the town.
Hi, I'm Gina Monroe. We're applying for a variance for our existing home to put a second story on it. Right now, the setback line goes right through the middle of the 1920s living room because the house was built before the setback line was there. So we're going to be staying right within the existing footprint. We're staying with the existing setback.
He's a weekly visitor. Or monthly visitor.
Keep going,
He's not after us.
You haven't done anything wrong yet. Just get it right.
And it's going to cover 34% of lot coverage, and the roof height from the street is going to be 29.9 feet, and no trees will be affected. And I've contacted all of my neighbors and have signatures from all of them. So since I have 3 more, do I need to give you those?
It's Jess, but yes.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Sure.
Any questions or comments from the audience? Very well prepared. Appreciate it. Thank you for sharing it so nicely. It worked out really well. Any questions for anyone from the board? Thanks. It was solid. These are your original plans. You didn't get them re-stamped.
No, I got them restamped. No, these are.
How did they re-stamp them with a prior date?
She said she prior dated them for me. I told her what happened.
Okay.
Yeah, I told her what happened. I told her that you guys had a copy of
Why
them.
don't you just bring a stamp with you and we'll hang it around.
Just pick that up.
Yeah. So
Awesome. She went back in time.
Yeah.
Miracles
She went and
happen.
looked it up and saw that they weren't stamped, and I said that you guys had the other copy. Isn't that great?
She bought that? Awesome. Awesome, good for you. All right, well, I just want you to notice that we didn't see any May 11th stamp. That's well done.
Who did that?
So now, because she did that, that's bad?
No, she ought not do that. She really ought not do that at
Because
all.
I asked her, I'm like, is that gonna be an issue with a different stamp date? And she's like, oh, don't worry, honey, I put the old date on it.
Who is
okay.
I think we need some law enforcement on this issue.
I thought you might have her first.
No, we're gonna.
I didn't
hear. No, it's all good. I mean, I know you all.
I mean, I was there for all of 2 minutes too. It was like.
Okay, that's really suspicious. That's really suspicious.
Yeah.
Take the shovel, turn in your stamp. I know you had that stamp at home. All right, let's just go with it. Let's pretend it didn't happen. Let's just go. It's all good. So there was a motion to approve a plan. What's the-
Back stamp.
The new back stamped and backdated plan.
Do I need to get another one?
Does this resemble your previous plan at all?
It's exactly, no, it's
It's a
exactly
joke.
the same
It's a
thing.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant at all? Any comments? Any comments or questions from the board? All, do you want to ask a question?
She does have.
What is your question?
When is it time to go home?
Oh, that was great.
That's everybody's question.
Glad we got that on
Maybe the
video.
police officer could give you a ride home. Wouldn't that be exciting? Awesome. Awesome. All right. The motion is to approve based on site plan stamped and dated
April 20th.
April 20th, unless you manage to get an earlier one. Next meeting.
Second.
And seconded. All those in favor, any questions? All in favor, raise your hand. Thank y'all. You should open up an independent business if you can get that stuff done. You beat a lot of professional expediters that we've seen. So I wish I'd had a tape of that. Gosh. Those are winning ways.
Thank you.
Thank you ever so much. You know where it is, right?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Lost it.
All right, guys, it's a much larger crowd than I'm used to having, so that's why I had
You
such a
skipped our
shock.
safety meeting last month. Where were you? I mean, we really, I mean, no, I mean, all the high brass showed up. I mean.
Oh, really? Yeah, you know, they don't send me to the good meetings, but you know. the
We
food
missed you.
was-
We asked where you were.
Really?
We did.
Well, I'm happy you guys asked for it.
Yeah.
I'm Lieutenant Floyd, for those that don't know me, City of Atlanta Police Department. I'm assigned to the Zone 6 precinct, the precinct that services the Virginia-Highlands community. And I am here, as always, like one of the board members said, each month to report on crime. Overall, you know, things are looking really good. I mean, we're not showing any crime patterns or trends. I mean, we did have the robbery on Lanier, you know, which I think, you know, is just one of those risks that you take when you are walking home from a restaurant or bar at that time of night. However,
Or on the way to a restaurant at
Oh,
7:15 in broad daylight, but anyway, it's okay.
But overall, I think things are really looking good. I mean, we're seeing the larceny for model numbers decrease. Residential burglaries, we had a couple at 609 Virginia at the apartment complex, and then we had one across on Park across Monroe, which I don't even know if that's in the Virginia-Highlands community. It's on 601's beat. But overall, I think things are looking really good as it pertains to the burglary numbers. They're not really high. Larceny for model numbers are decreasing a bit. So we're just really continuing to you know, just put manpower in those areas, increase manpower along North Highland, along Virginia Avenue, Ponce Place, and Ponce de Leon. We see that's where most of our crime occurs off within a block or two radius of those main streets, roadways. So we're just continuing to increase visibility to deter crime and to capture those responsible. Any questions?
So, you know, we started, we got Peggy, who's not here tonight, whom you know well, and Jess, who's here. We got the crime stats for the last 5 years, minus oddly 2012, which somehow got omitted, I don't know why.
Yeah, the crime.
No crime that year.
No crime that year. And and we put them in these lovely graphs, which appeal to those who love lovely graphs. But I'm gonna give this to you, but what we need is, Peggy was having trouble getting the updated 2015 stats, and we just need the raw numbers, because Jess has already done the graphing, and if we just can plug them in, so you can take these with you and amuse your colleagues with what some people do with their numbers. But really, I mean, it is helpful, because the numbers, we don't feel any better about any of the bad stuff that happened, but the numbers are low, as you've reported. So we were trying to see how low they were, and this came up to me. So if you can ask, dear Mr. Peak, if you can give us the rest of the numbers, I mean, or if you could get us, is there a person we could call? I hate to bother y'all for
Well, I
numbers.
could probably put you all in contact with, if you write your number.
I'll do it.
Well, you have my cell phone.
I do have your cell phone number, but I'll put it
Jess is
right.
gonna give it
Yeah, give it to Jess.
Are you the security chair?
No, I dug into the numbers a little bit, and there's some stuff on the Excel file that had this raw data, that it just would be handy to talk to someone, talk through it, and how to get it to show up in the graphs. That's all, if you have like some nerdy Excel.
Because you want somebody that does it, don't you?
Well, we have a crime analysis,
Yeah.
crime analysis person in place.
No, it's just a data question. I just need.
Because we sure would like, I mean,
Well, I can possibly answer it for you.
no, I don't disbelieve any of the things you said, but folks want to say, well, this crime is down or up. It helps if we know exactly the period before the same year. Y'all report in 13 4-week periods, your crime. And so we've got it adapted in here.
We report in 28 days.
Right, for a 4-week period, 13 times a year. And so that gets us, we've got it graphed with time frames on here, and it's just, I think it's reassuring. It's good publicity for y'all. It doesn't make anybody feel better they got victimized, but it does see that generally things are okay. So we will do the work.
Well, you know, like I say, a lot of times, I mean, the actual stats mean nothing to a person, you know, that's a victim, but that's one of the ways that we, you know, target our enforcement, and, you know, we see where we need to put these resources, is through the statistical data, so. Any other questions? I'll see if I can't get this taken care of.
I have a question. Were there charges made on the 2 men that were killed by the vortex?
To my knowledge, I think that the media put out that, you know, they had been identified. You know, a lot of that information as far as homicides is really, really classified. I mean, you know, I'm not real privy to it. But, you know, I heard on the media that, from media sources that, you know, they had identified 2 people responsible, and that they were going to be issuing warrants. That hadn't been confirmed by the homicide unit.
Okay, well, it's public once it's done, so I'm assuming that if you don't know about it, it hadn't happened yet.
Any other questions, concerns, criticisms?
We just need those stats, and we'll be ready to go.
I'll try my best
We
to
love
have
you, appreciate it.
stats by the next meeting. All right?
I tell you what, if you'll send them to Jess when you get them, we'll come in with them graphed in the next meeting for you. So, thank you for coming by.
Have a
Appreciate
good
it.
one.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're moving right along. 621 Crest Hill, 15099.
I also have Magic of the Time Machine site plans. Dated 4/20,
Oh my God,
fresh ink from today.
really, we need to take this up with the city.
Awesome.
But you guys are lucky.
Yeah, I've got some non-conformities I'd like to have pre-dated, pre-stamped and approved.
Well, you might want to see the casino added in fact.
All right, go ahead.
My name's Andy Monfalcone. We live at 621 Crest Hill. We're applying for a lot variance on the east side and the front part of our house, which was built in 1925, already encroaching on the 7-foot setback on the east and on the 35-foot setback in the front. The plan is to remove the existing roof and build a steeper roof with dormers to accommodate a new attic level living space that would have 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, a laundry, heated square footage of that upstairs with total 1510, and then also a screen porch on the back upstairs, and then reconfiguring the lower main level to enlarge the kitchen, convert one of the bedrooms that's there now into a family living area, 14 screen porch, 21 by 10 deck with parking underneath that. So we'll take parking off of our street, for which we currently do with one car. Downstairs heated square foot will reduce from 2205 to 1780. We'll also be removing the aforementioned 1134 square feet of old and dilapidated concrete in the backyard, reducing total lot coverage from 50.8% to 47.3%. There are 3 trees that have to come out as a result of the new parking that we'll have underneath the deck and carport. There's a 6-inch and 11-inch, and then a double-trunked 15 and 18-inch tree there, which we plan to replant. We haven't got a yard or a landscape architect on the job yet, but the plan is to do so. Don't know of any stormwater issues as it sits. And then the new height of the finished house will be 23 feet, which is under the 35 feet that's allowed.
Well, good presentation, well done.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for the applicant? So no, I don't think you have any stormwater issues, but at the back you're collecting, you're doing okay. I mean, you're lots above where the stream is. The people on the other side are not entirely as fortunate. And you got bamboo you're hoping to get rid of, is that a fact?
That's right.
That'd be great. Is there any questions or any comments? Lola, do we have a motion? I think we did. To approve this condition on a backdated stamp from.
But the trees that are being taken out, you'll be paying compensation or replanting, because they are
Yeah, he'll
not
have to
in the
pay some.
buildable area.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, we recommended approval once we got these plans stamped and dated April 20, 2015.
That's the motion. Is there a second? Further questions?
Yeah.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
See you Monday. B15107, 949 Virginia Circle. At last, your day is come.
My name is Erin Hauk. My family lives at 949 Virginia Circle. We are requesting a setback variance for our property. We have an exceptionally small lot. It is only 46.41 feet wide in the front, and it tapers a couple of feet towards the rear. The specific variances we're requesting are to reduce the west side yard from 7 feet to 3 feet, the front yard setback from 35 feet to 27.8, and those are the current, our current house sits non-conforming into the setbacks. So we're just asking to extend that to the upstairs. And then we are also requesting to build a 2-car to 1.5 story garage in the rear of our yard. And so we're requesting a rear yard setback from 15 feet to 5 feet. So we're hoping to add a 2nd story onto our house, a portion of the back of our house to go out 8.5 feet, and the other portion to go less than that. I don't know specifically. There is one tree that's impacted by going off the back. It's a small dogwood. I think it's just barely over the required size, but we intend to do whatever we're supposed to do to pay recompense, and we definitely plan to plant. We're also over the 1,000 feet, so we have to have a stormwater plan, and I think our plan is, and I think that they're called flow wells, which goes under the ground, which will retain our water. We currently have no stormwater issues. Our current slot permeability is somewhere, I think, a little over 53%, and we will bring that down to a conforming less than 50%. The height of our house will be far less than 35 required feet. I think that Chip said last time like 25, but it'll be less. And the alley in the back of our house is not in use. There's actually currently someone else's fence runs on the side. Oh, and I have my plans, nothing is different about them, and they backdated them as they did with the others, and I questioned her several times, and she insisted on doing it that way, so that's what I have.
You need these?
No, that's, I mean, no, they're for you.
Questions, comments, motion, Lauren?
Move to approve V15-107 based on the stamped plans dated April 22nd, 2015.
Is there a second?
Second.
Last chance of questions or comments. All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, have a great evening.
Nice to meet you, nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
1025 North Virginia Ave. Go right ahead, sir.
I'm Trip Escridge here with my wife Julie. We're seeking two variances on our property. The first is on the north side of the property. It's reduced the setback from 7 feet to 0.9 feet. The purpose of that is this is the existing footprint of the original house, as far as we know, and we want to move a door to the basement from the side of the house to the north, to the backyard, to enter the basement from the backyard instead of from the side, to give the neighbors additional privacy. The second variance is on the south property line. This reduces the setback from 7 feet to 4 feet, also in existing condition. There's a single car garage in the back of the house, and it's permitted to expand that single car into a double wide garage. Instead of keeping the existing structure, we want to demolish that and rebuild it with a new structure because there's a retaining wall that's overturning behind it, and it'll give us better access to it and a better quality standard on the garage. So that's the two variances we're seeking.
All right, sir. Any questions for the applicant? Comments? Lola, what was the recommendation of the committee?
We wanted to find out if you would need to comply with stormwater ordinance, which you do. So that was the only outstanding question that was made. So I think, and we recommended approval based on site plans stamped and dated. I actually don't know the answer to that question. Do you have your plans?
Actually, small notes here. Actually, you don't have those notes.
Is it on the
Right there.
Yeah, it's on there.
The application says April 22nd.
There's a stamp on there, I can't read it, so.
Yeah, I can't read the last page either, everything else.
422.
And well, they are redrawing it and adding the rain garden. I actually did have a question that is relevant to the group, whether I wanted a rain garden or a dry well. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, so if you have a preference.
We don't, but they both have advantages and will work well. You actually can do a beautiful rain garden if you enjoy the concept. If you don't feel like fooling with it, the flow wells will work very well and they require much less maintenance. So you in fact can do both. Subsequently, do the rain garden later if you want, but whatever. The flow well will cost you a little more, but they will both work extremely well. So I'll make a motion to approve based on, I would like this though, whatever you, you're over 1,000, the city's going to get with you on that, so we don't need to contingent on that. Based on the plan stated 4/20, believed to be 4/22. Is there a second? Any further discussion? I will just say that this is actually going to be a big improvement in the site topology, which is the house is going to work a lot better. There may be a tree issue on the side where the retaining wall is. It's a boundary tree with a neighbor, which y'all will have to work it out, but I'm sure you will. And I think that's it. Have any questions or comments? Lot coverage is not an issue. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All right, so we'll see you next Next one
We
as
also
well.
have the receipts from when we couldn't get a hold of this.
Yeah, let's see your neighbor notification. I mean, y'all are vulnerable in the way I mentioned before. If
Right.
anybody walks in, but it's improbable if you talk to the neighbors around there.
Right.
Radically not accurate.
Joe, Julie, help me with this.
It's about the first. I got it. I don't know if the information she's given him is where his booth is.
I'm on there.
But
No.
she'll have
The last
information
one.
So she can contact her.
Well-
She is a person who needs to speak.
There must be a
She
good
should have his
reason, but
email.
there probably, I mean, I could say that somebody has to be mastered.
Yeah, no
Maybe
worries.
I skipped over you,
Hey, Joe.
but it'll be all right. You're not a Hawks fan, are you?
Or the gentleman sitting here, left this. Anybody doesn't? No, the white shirt.
Oh, Barry.
Just leave it right there. We'll take care of it. Thank you so much, appreciate it.
Thank you all.
All right, 15074, last but certainly not least.
Yeah, Matt Womack, for Andrew and Anna Howard, the owners at 1112 Hudson Drive. I'm the general contractor, they're out of town, couldn't be here. They have a 1930 house that is built over the west side setback and the front setback. Now, their application only asks for a reduction of the side setback, but in looking at it, they also need a front setback reduction. So how would I go about trying to add that on?
We have to go back down to the city and have them amend your referral certificate.
And do I have to, do they have to wait till next month?
No, you can do that. Well, the Civic Association does not have time to consider that part of the application.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd recommend a deferral until next month because of all the advertising requirements.
But is this one of those where, is the front changing, or you just,
No, just going up.
I think it's,
It's an existing 28 staying in an existing 28.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
But we're gonna need to revise.
yeah,
it first. You have to
you've
get by
got
Monday.
some paperwork to do. You need to get downtown, change this, get a new referral certificate. You're gonna have to get ready to advertise properly with the proper info on it.
You need to make sure your neighbors are aware.
You're gonna re-notify your neighbors, but it is a technicality, and you can explain them to this. This is a front setback where 35 is required. I don't know how we just said either. 28 is there because it, but,
you have elevation with,
I do.
and then it is just the key word to use there is existing. No existing conditions will change on the front.
And we have to be really careful to make sure that they re-advertise it correctly.
Did you, I don't know if you heard that last
Maybe
piece.
we'll have to make sure it's re-advertised correctly, because sometimes what happens is that they'll have your paperwork, but they won't update their computer records. So
Okay.
it goes out wrong. We can watch that too for you.
Okay. But as long as they get the referral certificate stamped this week, they can come to next week's meeting?
Yeah, I think you're still on schedule, assuming nobody objects. I can't imagine why they wouldn't. I know you've had discussions with the neighbor to the east, and you're saving the tree that you wanted saved, as I
Correct.
recall, which was a good
Well, an
deal.
arborist is involved, and now the arborist thinks it might be disease, but that's between the two neighbors. But yeah, right now they're gonna try to save it.
do you
Okay.
have the existing, I hate to see proposed front, do you have existing front, and you've shared, so you did share elevations and plans with the neighbors?
Yes, and site plan, but no, I do not have an existing, the architect did not draw an existing elevation.
Okay,
I have a photo, I
okay.
don't know if that would help,
That's
I
better.
can email it to somebody, or I could show it to you.
Okay,
So you're gonna go down, on this one, you're heading down, you're gonna, let us know what the status of this, because if y'all don't get down there, the best thing to do is what Debbie suggested, is to punt a month, and I doubt you wanna do that, but
So the front yard setback's gonna be, would be reduced to 28.1.
Correct.
existing 28.1.
So I'd recommend that in your motion that you include that, just so that we're covered.
What is the existing elevation?
Okay, and it's definitely a renovation, not a rebuild or anything?
Correct, yeah, everything, the house is only 1,800 square feet, So essentially, we're adding 200 square feet to the first floor and adding a second floor that's going to be roughly 1,800 square feet. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So follow up on the paperwork with us on that, okay?
Okay.
Because we need to see that, because we'll include it right here, that in the motion, can we have a motion?
And this is a really good thing, otherwise you'd really get screwed if you hadn't caught it.
What,
Right.
what would be the finished average height? I don't see it on here.
It's 32 feet.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'll verify that. I'll actually get him to add that on the site plan.
That'd be great.
Comments or questions? Motion?
Move to approve, recommend approval of V15-074 based on site plans stamped and dated April 1st, 2015, conditioned on receipt of a new referral certificate, including the front variance from 28.1 existing to 28.1 for their second floor.
And notification of the neighbors of that. You gotta go through the roof again. Don't slide on it. You cover it yourself when you do it that way. Yeah.
I have one question. I made a note that, I think Andrew said that he was considering putting brick on the house instead of.
He's not considering that now.
Okay, so that's.
Just
that was
because,
gonna change the
because he
site.
said that would require, I would obviously would add 4 inches, I think, to the
Right,
veneer,
okay.
so he's not going to do that.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. We're good. You're good. And I believe that concludes the variance portion at a mere hour and 32 minutes.
Is that all you
Maybe it's a
have
new
there?
record.
I've got to wait
I
9:40.
did too, I have 940, but I
940 Adair didn't show. I mean, I called them.
didn't have it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
no, I
didn't.
know you did several times. No.
That's what, I sent you an email about this too.
Oh.
If you didn't.
No. No, 895 is the proposed new one. That didn't be found.
Okay.
So, is it got, let me see it. Let me see it.
This is,
Is there- no, there's no, this is the guy who wrote in to talk about that. I
Okay.
called 940. So I did 940 Adair. I don't know where Alexander is.
okay.
I'm actually, we could take up 940 Adair if you want. It's a plastic storage shed sitting. This guy came to the planning meeting, did all the things. I mean, it's 3 feet from the right rear and 7 feet off an alley behind a fence. I mean, it's the most innocuous, doesn't want water or electric. I think he just screwed up, but he got everything else right. I'd just assume approve it personally, even in his absence. We'll get a motion to do that.
Yeah, because we recommended approval of the.
We did. I mean, it's the easiest one. I move to approve 940 Adair V15084, condition on the site plans, stamped
April 8th.
April 8th. All those in favor? Raise your hand. We're through. Let's move on to the rest of the agenda, for God's sake. It is our sad duty to announce the resignation of John Becker from the board due to his decision to leave Virginia-Highland. He's moving over 200 yards away. Not that far away. And, so John, we'll write about this and deal with this appropriately, but we noticed your new walls
That's pretty cool.
empty and
I think I can find some wall space for that.
That's very cool.
That's very cool. Thank you very much.
needless to say, really, really thank you for everything you've done.
You're very welcome. I've enjoyed my time in service, and 15 years in the neighborhood was great. And I will not be a stranger. You will absolutely see me. Taco Mac and Summerfest, and it's all good. It's all good.
Sorry?
Can we annex that part of my?
Yeah, Jack discussed it.
Discussed it.
Jack threw that out.
Trade him. I was gonna trade him Atkins Park for him.
Trade him, Anakin.
It was a joke, it's a joke, it's all a joke. We can, St. Charles anyway, whatever. Which is appropriate to bring up at this point because Paige submitted a letter just before the meeting saying that with her imminent birth, she has resigned as Atkins Park's rep, and we are sad to see her go. And I wrote her, excuse me, Colleen, yes.
Yeah. So say Paige is pregnant?
You know, I don't remember that.
Well, it's funny.
But hey, can I still use
easy
stay up till
excuse.
4:28. I don't
I know.
understand. I don't get it.
I go downtown, they predated.
No, Colleen did, I'm sorry.
Can I still use that excuse?
No, I'm afraid not. That's it. We'll purge it. So we expect that they will appoint another rep, but they have not to this date, and we'll be extremely lucky if they appoint anyone as conscientious as she is. So she's not getting anything because she's not here, so. John, you got out. I want to move to other things. The fundraising committee, Summerfest page, you and John are on. John, you're back in.
Did you want to mention at all what's going to happen with communications?
Oh, actually, here's what I'd
Or
like
did
to
you
do.
not want-
Yeah, I do. Thanks. Two things I want to do. I skipped ahead quickly. First of all, we mentioned at the last meeting to general acclaim that we wanted to do two things. It takes two people to replace John, of course. One is communications and Stephen Cohen, who does VHCA, has agreed to take over from John, the voice and the regular
Website.
postings and the newsletter, and that's outstanding news for us. John, Stephen has been here longer than any of us almost, and knows the neighborhood extremely well, and has a good ear, and so that'll be outstanding news for us. He's not here tonight because he couldn't be. He's retiring from one job to come to do this, so.
Great timing, though. They'll have all the time in the world to.
The other piece is, under the bylaws, we are eligible to nominate a replacement, and as we mentioned at the last meeting, we do have a replacement. Do you want to handle this, or John? Yes.
Catherine, as you all know, Zach has been working with us on the Preservation Committee on fire station fundraising efforts. We've been talking to her for a while about how great she's doing on all of those activities and that we'd love her to be more involved. Unfortunately, it's, John leaving, but fortunately she is happy to come on the board and be a replacement for John. So, is there anything official I can do?
You should move to nominate her for membership on the board to replace John.
Right, so that's
And
out.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Do we need to appoint a committee? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you very much, Catherine. And would you like to come sit at the table?
You're official.
I got a lot of work done, actually. It was a long meeting, and
yeah.
I edited half a book, so.
How handy. And so now, back to fundraising, that is the Summerfest. John, your absence isn't very long because you and Paige are up.
Yeah, Summerfest, the biggest news about Summerfest is the location of the concerts, which normally take place on the Inwood Park Fields, will now be taking place in John Howell Park. And we met down there with Rob Frazier from Premier Event, who does the logistics for the event. Jack was there and several members, David was there, several members of the committee were there, Jennifer Keenan, Megan McCloskey. We were all down there looking to see what there was to see, what needed to be taken care of, and Jack made sure to let Rob know there were some areas that needed to be protected, some planting areas that needed to be protected so they wouldn't be trampled. So we're trying to come up with a good plan for flow in and out of the park, and because of that, there are some areas that are going to be,
We may move some of those food vendors that are in that immediate area to the other side of the street and create a sort of a funnel way where people can get in,
So
and
there's
in
some-
doing so, put fencing up to protect shrubbery and other things.
Exactly, so we'll have some good flow at the bottom, which, when I say bottom, I mean.
Where the sidewalk is.
Barnett.
Oh.
There'll be a big funnel where people will be able to come up through Barnett into the park, but then they'll also be able to get out in and out the side. as
Off of
well.
Virginia,
And
yeah.
all the logistical stuff that we usually have that's on Barnett, which is the premier events, trailers, and
Paramedics.
all that stuff, and the first aid and volunteer tents, all of that stuff will flip over onto Green Cove Avenue in order to make room for the accommodations for the park. But other than that,
Community dinner will be there as well.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
I beg
just
your pardon, yeah,
stage, yeah.
community dinner will be there as well.
The movie,
Same
yeah.
setup, we'll have a movie, it just kind of flip-flop from one side of the park, or one side of the street to the other.
Had our music lineup was announced today.
Yep.
Who's our headliner for Sunday is Dumpsta Funk, that's the name
Yeah,
of it?
Yeah.
I don't know it, but are they good?
I listened to it, they are good, and apparently.
Is it like a jam band?
According to Ann Guy, a friend of Ann Guy, who's very in the music scene,
Yeah.
they are great, they bring in great crowds.
Right.
So, and I listened to it, they're all that fun,
Good.
so.
What time does the parade start? You're always doing the half
The
rest.
parade.
Gather at 6:30 at the
You need
meet,
it
and the parade
6:30
starts at
sharp
7.
To be there, and it starts at
Ace
7.
Harding.
Highlands, I mean, at the.
At the, yeah.
Hardware
Mhm.
store. Okay. Be there at 6:30 sharp, it starts at 7.
Okay, so what should I tell the firemen? We get them for 2 hours. So
Um,
be there by.
7.
What role are they playing in the
They're
parade?
gonna lead it.
Oh,
Is that
okay.
what they're thinking? I don't know, that was my question.
I didn't know if they were gonna be just guests at the dinner. We were gonna feed them and whatever, but if, that would be required.
That'd be kind of cool to have them march in the
It
parade.
would be neat.
But they can bring the little fire truck, not the big one,
Ooh.
maybe?
That will need to, that sounds awesome. Let me hook you up with Chris Smith, who manages the parade,
Okay.
and see what she's got. I don't know what she already has planned.
I can't imagine any-
Commercial or anything like
Okay,
that.
let's,
So,
email me later.
Yeah.
And we can, because I just wanted to, we're pretty close to that date, I
Yeah.
just want to get.
Yeah, it would be tremendous if they could do that.
Yeah.
Because who wouldn't want to be part of a parade?
I think the big one, based on what y'all were saying about shifting it aside.
Probably-
Big truck probably doesn't make sense.
I didn't even know there was a little, oh, you mean just the short, regular, it's not like a
Yeah, we don't need it.
play-size truck, it's a
Yeah.
real, the short,
if
okay.
they-
Yeah.
if it-
I didn't know it was like a little kid's fire truck.
The kids could take pictures.
Yeah.
Bring it down.
Yeah.
You're still thinking there'll be
That'd be cool.
will there still be a,
It's not a real
VHCA?
fire. We could have a big, yeah.
But do y'all usually have one that's just about VHCA? The question is, do we want to sell merchandise then? But anyway, that's maybe another question.
At the dinner?
Oh, not the dinner.
Okay.
But we absolutely
It was
can.
so successful for the race, so.
I think that's a tremendous idea. That was the thought, was to have a booth there for them.
Yeah.
And they can do whatever at it, so that would be awesome. But I will hook you up with Chris. And I think it would be tremendous if they could be involved in the parade, but I just don't know what her plans are.
Okay.
So, great.
We are-
Let's seg into the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention, we are well behind with volunteers as we are with race registration and some other things, but so spread the word, especially Sunday. We're really hurting for Sunday. We have no one to help with artist market tear down right now. We need 5 people for that. I'll put out another call, but it's just been very slow.
So much lower than previous years?
I wouldn't say much slower, but noticeably slower.
So did the guy that volunteered for 6 shifts and didn't show up to any of them, they say he volunteered? So I missed
We
him, he filled a lot of slots.
And guess who didn't even sign up for the volunteer booth this year?
Oh, well, that's a shame.
Maybe we should recruit him.
Manager's, time, did I miss that?
I did send something out about that.
Okay, I'll look in my email.
Pick a time. Everybody,
You've said pick a time, we don't have them set yet.
Oh, I don't set
But some
no.
people wrote back, said just fill us in whenever.
Everybody has said, not one person has a
That's
specific
okay, I
time.
get it.
I know, you did. But everybody else has said, just throw me in there anytime. So if something comes up, or, whatever, let me know, because it's right now super flex.
Okay. And the Friends of the Library would like to have a this
I've been
moment.
trying to.
I've got a number and name from that woman yesterday at the Mary Norwood event, and I'll give it to
Is
you.
it Camille?
Yes, Camille, yes.
Camille Sheila?
I couldn't read it in my handwriting, to be
Yeah.
honest, but,
She has 2 names, but
right.
she seems to go by one at different times. So
We defended your reliability.
she hasn't been she hasn't been easy to get in touch with, but,
I have a question. Have neighbors in Virginia Circle been notified that the music is going to be behind them?
And we're going to surprise them.
Thank you.
No, we are going to notify them, that is on the list to do that. And, we'll get that done. Most of them flee, that's my understanding, which is probably wise.
But for the last, 10 years, it's
Yeah.
been across the street, so.
This is a good seg into David talking about what's exactly happening, the impact on the park, because that is
Yeah, so I'll get with Walter Bland, who manages our, basically, maintenance, plant maintenance in the park. And as Paige mentioned, the plan is to set up temporary fencing so that we create a natural route which minimizes plant damage and landscape damage as much as we can, so no guarantees, but we will try to get an area for ingress and egress set up so that we minimize the impact. And then after the event, we'll obviously have to go in and do some, well, hopefully minimal, but I'm sure there will be some repairs that will need to occur, just given the sheer volume of traffic that will be at the park. So I'll manage that and update as we get together and meet with them. I think that's about it. You kind of covered a lot of the page. Anything else that I missed there? Jack, are we good?
I hope we're good. I mean, I think we're just gonna have to adapt. It's gonna be fine. We've done it there several times before. It's gonna do a little bit of disruption in the park and a little damage. We'll just fix it. It'll be okay. It'll be fine. And the bike valet is gonna be down there.
Field of
Bike
Dreams.
corral down in the Field of
Yeah,
Dreams.
that's
which is
perfect
a
place
great
for it.
location.
Perfect.
So I think we'll be okay. I hope. We just gotta get some volunteers now, so.
Have you notified Lowe's that your location's changed?
Who?
Your special events, have you notified?
They applied for both events, I think.
Both locations.
I think.
Yeah, they did. They
applied
put
for
contingency in there, I
Oh.
think, just in case.
Oh, for the permit?
Yeah,
Yep.
just
That
to
was,
make sure.
it was, for, when we originally submitted the permit, they submitted it as a Plan B because we knew that this could be an issue.
Okay.
So now we're following through with Plan B, and the only issue is they need the technical specs for the build of the stage, and in the past, we've used this thing that's basically a truck.
Yeah.
It's a pop-up. And so, but that won't work for John Hill Park, so they're working on the actual technical specs to submit to the city.
Let's, let's move on to some other planning items. Jess, you had some stuff about the master plan.
Yeah, just had a quick update of master plan stuff. Of course, some were covered in the infrastructure bond, and we're keeping an eye on those and how they're implemented. But then there's also the capital improvement program that if you contact person Debbie, let us know about. And so I loaded all of the capital program or capital projects from the master plan, took them out of the master plan and loaded them into this capital improvement program list, which is updated every 5 years with the city. And this would be for the 2016 to 2020 kind of project list. And there's a public hearing on that June 8th at 6 p.m. at City Council for anyone has any last public comments on that. So just wanted to keep everybody aware that we're trying to get funding and momentum behind some of the other projects. And there's a stop sign we're trying to get. Peggy with safety brought me in on Virginia Circle and Barnett. It's 2 stop signs right now.
Gosh, yeah.
And the, just south of there, the intersection is 4 stop signs with crosswalks. So to just get those to be the same would be completely,
I always thought
make
that was
sense?
odd.
It's very
confusing.
I live
I've always thought that was odd. That's cool, that's cool.
Everyone's always got
Why they're
hit
fixing that.
very weird.
So we're gonna try a different approach, and that is the 311 website has some safety and infrastructure options. So she submitted a ticket through that, and we'll see if that works. And if not, we'll make a few calls and figure it out some other way. But I'm curious to see how that will go. And I think the crosswalks were just repainted at Ponce de Leon Place in St. Charles as well. So tiny improvements go a long way.
I wanted to give a very quick update on Inman, which we unfortunately didn't get taped just because I gave John the wrong number for it. Sorry, but starting time. But I mean, the superintendent just reaffirmed that the trailers are in, they're arriving. The trees, the DDH trees are scheduled to come in the week of June 1st. And they need a couple of days to close the parking lot on the Inman School to do that, but who knows what will happen. But it's beyond our ability to influence, and we're not asking them to delay removing any DDH trees, that's for sure. So they'll do it when they do it. And we don't know what the status of the potential fence around the new trailers will be. And the school board's considering it. The good news is they've affirmed that Howard's going to be built out. And that was the thing we were the most after 30 years ago. And the decision arrives with a whimper, but we're not a bang, but we're no less happy about it. So that's an outstanding outcome. And I just felt a huge weight going off our shoulders as we heard them reaffirm it formally. They had said they would do that a few months ago. So it's I mean, they're gonna start putting architectural plans together right away with some of the money they've saved from not doing the planned expansion at Inman. And they may do the bus lanes on Park, they may rearrange a little bit inside the lobby for better use, but most of the expansion will not occur.
Did she recommend somebody specifically that we're going with on the, what was gonna, who was gonna be educated at home?
No, there was much discussion, all of it to my mind premature, because who knows what conditions will obtain when the time comes to do that. But there was much discussion of the ninth grade academy, and many opinions were offered. And the superintendent, I understand, expressed her gratitude for those opinions after I left the meeting. I'm sorry I missed her expression of gratitude, but
So are they not gonna do like the expansion with like the labs and all that stuff?
all that's gone,
All that stuff?
all gone. None of it.
What's the, how are they gonna accommodate
The trailers that are arriving will accommodate the kids through the next 4 years, with the 5 years maybe, with the understanding that the Howard expansion will be planned for immediately, trying to get the architectural stuff done and hopefully being ready for what an anticipated
So they'll take a few-
SPLOST vote a year from November.
Well, they'll take a few of that 33 million to do the Park Drive lane and lobby, and then the rest of them will go.
A little bit of that, but it will be used for that, and they're also announcing
So how is the breakdown with
the money.
the ninth grade academy versus?
It's really totally premature, and no one knows, and that was why I personally begged Matt to just defer it, because you're gonna have to go through it again in 2.5 years.
Sure.
And they don't really know. They projected as a possibility and got gobs and gobs of comments about using a ninth grade academy at Inman and keeping the new middle school entirely going to Howard. But you know what, by then Druid Hills will either be in or not in. And the new projections for attendance will come in, and goodness only knows. In any case, that's the plan.
Just, I wanted to ask one quick question.
Sure.
When you say, the Howard School's being, rebuilt, renovated and all of that, and we're glad for that, what you're saying and meaning by that is that it's best for us not to have an extreme, build out on that already overbuilt property. So it's a planning.
On that overbuilt, you mean the Inman?
On it, right.
That's correct.
So it's really not about whether it's a ninth grade or a sixth through nine, you're talking about a planning and zoning issue.
I'm talking about the planning parts of the school, which is that we all felt to a person that there was not room on the Inman campus to build it out. It could not accommodate the buses, could not accommodate the athletics, and that we needed to get the additional capacity. And Inman will, in fact, not merely be rebuilt, but it will be an expanded Inman, as what Matt announced. We're going to add capacity on the back of the wings, anticipating that the numbers will be higher than they believe they will be, which is wise, since every number that they've had has been low. Every projection they've ever made in the last 5 years has been low. So that, to me, is the first clever, smart, thoughtful planning move they've made. It has the capacity to get the trailers off of the Inman fields, and to make Inman, whatever it is, a suitable and more neighborhood-friendly school, and we can only pray.
I think when you just said Inman, when you meant Howard, that at Howard they're building with the idea that they need to build for more than,
Right.
okay.
Yes, the Howard campus, which is currently in an age, will be added onto in the back and renovated. And it's quite doable, and I think they'll need the SPLOST to be passed a year from I projected SPLOST to be passed in a year from November, which is when it would go on the ballot.
All that really matters is we've got trailers for 4 years and no build out.
That's right, that's right. And I think that's wise, given the fact that the build-out wouldn't accomplish a thing and would eat up resources and invite other mischief. So it's good. And I think this is what we can all, in private, have a drink and lament the loss of the 3 years since this was proposed, which are just gone. But they're gone, and on we go. Let's talk about, in fact, if we could, FS19. Catherine, can you bring us up?
Oh, yeah, I can just do it very briefly. As everyone knows, the bond issue passed, much to our delight and Alex Alon's good support. City Council passed
the 600,000 that he had originally promised, so that's set aside for number 19. Now, the timeline is not clear to us yet, and trying to get on Alex's calendar is tricky, so we're making that effort. But the last conversations we've had sort of as a team have been, our initial thoughts were, if we were going to renovate the station, what were the most basic things we could do? Well, the bond issue puts us in kind of a new ballpark, that we can really do the work that needs to be done. So the estimate, we don't have a firm one yet, because we'll have to work through the city and all of the things that we need, but we're predicting that 600,000 will be great. We have another 100,000 that the neighborhood has raised, largely to Rich Shay's sort of assistance. And right now, anticipating that we might do a little additional fundraising to reach a number of 8, but we don't know that that's firm either way, that we're just in the planning phase. And so really kind of in a wait and see, but yay, it's off the replacement list. So it's just a big deal. It really is. And so I predict that for the next 30, 40 years, it'll stay, and we hope 90 to 100.
Question, does it go back out to, I know there was an architect that was working with them originally, and they...
Well, and yeah, so what, they had an original architect that the firemen had chosen, and I pulled in someone from Stanley David Sears, who does a lot of commercial work. So the answers we're trying to get to, sort of immediate answers are, if the neighborhood raises a small pot of money, will they let us choose the architect and pay the architect, right? And that has a tremendous amount of influence, frankly, because they write a bid, if they have to bid out, we will at City. If they write a bid so tight that it has to be preservation minded, and you have some influence over things like that. I mean, I work for the state, it's the same stuff. You write a really, really, really tight bid process and hopefully get someone really good. But those are answers that we don't know yet. But the good news is that Chief Baker, super excited, I think saw the writing on the wall and realized that this was good for everybody. And so we had Channel 11 coming this morning at 8 a.m. and they changed their mind. They were going to do a story, so it's fine. I made it try not about being skipping that interview. But we'll work hopefully summer and into fall. Alex said at one point that he felt the money would be available in the fall, but there's a lot of work to be done. So I guess the short story is we got a renovation project on our hands, which is a lot better than the tear down.
Great job, well done.
And I will continue to beg for the men every day.
I want to talk very briefly about the planning process for Monroe Drive. Jennifer was going to do it and had to go. So as you know, we've been meeting with the folks who are contemplating building things at Monroe. And we haven't gotten into a ton of detail. We've been trying to talk about goalposts and implications. And Aaron Fortner and Bob Zeckler have been going into meetings with us to our thrill and delight, because the other side has some good attorneys and ambitious builders and a lot of money. So our real emphasis down there has been on trying to, the things we've always talked about here for 3 years, holding the R4 nature of Monroe at Crest Hill and preventing R4. This is what we talked about in the master plan, going further north along Monroe and being very careful that we had a good reasoning and good planning code and law for not letting it go across the street either. There, streets are poor boundaries, as Aaron has commonly reminded us. If it's suitable on one side for an activity, it's often suitable for on the other side for the same activity, logically. So we have, one of the things Aaron and Bob have proposed that I think was the wisest thing we can do here. Those meetings are kind of temporarily at a halt while we regroup. But they propose that we have a mini strategic framework plan along Monroe to try to do the sort of strategic planning along Monroe that in many worlds would have been done before any of this ever got going, but hasn't been. It will be entirely a Virginia-Highland piece. It will not go outside of our boundaries for practical and imminent reasons. The focus is not merely, Aaron has been really concerned, and so has Bob, that we not get all tied up in this discussion of what might happen at the corner and lose track of what might happen down the rest of the Beltline, particularly at Amsterdam, and particularly as the Beltline goes that way. So they have proposed that we do a series of kind of mini planning session with some strategic, come up with a framework plan to try to inform and alert everyone along there of what's going on and get some buy-in along that corridor and try to come up with some really solid planning principles